Everybody watching on our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. And everybody watching on our Facebook Live, hit the follow button and keep up with us, all right? All right, let's look at some SWAC women's basketball. Let's start on that side because they got things started on Thursday night, right? And we start with Southern. Southern gets the victory 60-48 over Prairie View. And look at some other games. How about the upset? Grambling was the preseason #1 team in the conference. Texas Southern. How about Texas Southern getting the victory on the women's side, 85-74 over Grambling. That one turned some head. Alabama State getting the victory over UAPB, 58-46. And then the last game, Alabama A&M getting a big victory over Mississippi Valley, 89-53. So Texas Southern, Alabama State Southern, and Alabama A&M, all four teams start off conference play 1-0 as we move to the new format of women's basketball being played on Thursday nights. And now we look at matchups today, right? Matchup that's going to tip off at 12 o'clock on the women's side. Jackson State versus Alcorn. Both these teams coming to this game 2-9, tough non-conference game. Of course, Jackson State in their first year without Coach Tamika Reed. And so now they move forward trying to find their new identity. But Jackson and Alcorn, of course, remember this game last year. Alcorn found themselves on the women's side in the SWAC championship game. Kind of late season run is the sort of say. And now they got the matchup today. Two Mississippi teams. How about Mississippi Valley headed over to Montgomery? Mississippi Valley 1-11 on the season, taking on Alabama State. Alabama State 3-10 coming into this ball game. Bama State just got the victory against Pine Bluff on Thursday. Grambling and Prairie View. Grambling has an opportunity to try to shake back after that unexpected loss to Texas Southern. They're taking on Coach Sandy Pugh, and Prairie View today should be an interesting matchup right there. Both teams come in with 3 victories. Grambling's 3-9 on the season. Prairie View 3-7. UAPB going to take on Alabama A&M. Of course, UAPB's former coach, Coach Don Thornton, is now the head women's basketball coach at Alabama A&M. So this should be a hell of a matchup of her taking on her former team in UAPB. The Golden Lions, UAPB women's basketball, go up there 2-9 to Huntsville. How about Alabama A&M at 8-5 so far on the season? And taking just a little closer look at them, they got victory in this season against Eastern Michigan, 66-57. That was one that kind of turned some heads of people. They got a victory against San Diego, 78-67. And then they got a victory against Lindenwood in North Alabama, 61-58 and 80-77. And then as they close things out, another big victory in the Tulane Holiday Tournament, getting a 55-53 victory over Central Arkansas. So that Alabama A&M Bulldog team on the women's side has gotten some victories as they sitting there 8-5 in conference play, 8-5 overall, 1-0 in conference play. Then Bethune-Cookman and Florida A&M today, both teams coming into that matchup, 3 games apiece winning. Bethune-Cookman 3-9, Florida A&M 3-8, and then, of course, Southern University taking on Texas Southern today in this matchup in the SWAC on the road. The Tigers are 2-2 at home. Southern looking to go 2-0. Looking to go 2-0 in conference play. The Jaguars so far 1-0. Southern is 8th in the conference in scoring with averaging 55 points per game and shooting 34%. Now, we talked to Coach Funches about the free throw shooting. He said, yes, there could be they can improve on free throw. You're looking at Texas Southern shooting today, coming into this one, averaging 34.3% from the field on the season and 9.3 points lower than Southern, who shoots 43.6% that Southern is allowing. Southern is shooting 34.1% from the field themselves, and they're going to have a pretty good day as shooting on the road. As we know, it's going to be tough against Texas Southern. You look at Texas Southern in their last 10 games, they're 2-8, averaging 69 points a game, 37 rebounds, 11 assists, and 11 steals while shooting 35%. Southern, on the other side, in their last 10 games, 3 of 7, averaging 57 points with 31 rebounds, 12 assists, 9 steals, and 2 blocks per game, shooting 34.6% from the field. And they also got to find a way to close this out on the road. And then you look at Monday, of course, no games are to be played because we're only looking at right now Thursday and Saturday games on the women's side. 4 teams right now all stacked up in that first place, starting off 1-0 in conference play. Alabama A&M, Alabama State, Southern, and Texas Southern. 4 teams at the bottom right now who are going to start conference play 0-1. They're Prairie View, Grambling, UAPB, and Valley. And teams looking for their first conference victory today is going to be Florida A&M, Bethune-Cookman, Alcorn, and Jackson State, all stacked up right there. This should be interesting with SWAC women's basketball this year. Looking at what Southern is right now, all of these teams took tough non-conference play, and I talked about it with Southern. Let's go through their non-conferences. They start the season on the road, taking on number 10, Oklahoma. And remember, the season before, Southern went on the road and defeated Oklahoma. Oklahoma women's basketball team went on to win the Big 12 women's tournament. And so that was interesting to see Southern go get that victory. This time, not so much. Oklahoma getting the victory 76-44 to start the season. Southern then takes on Missouri, losing 66-51. They took on number 8, Iowa State, falling short 84-56. Remember, this all on the women's side. Southern then takes on number 21, Nebraska, falling 84-58. Then they had both Colorados, Colorado and Colorado State. 65-45 loss to Colorado, a 78-47 loss to Colorado State. Then taking on down in the Bahamas, number 20, North Carolina State, 77-47. The Southern University women's basketball team falls short, and then they took on Washington in that same tournament and lost 61-43. They returned home and got a victory over Suno, 89-34. Then they took on the number 6 Texas, 97-39 in this one. Jaguars, Southern University women's basketball falls short. Then they get a victory against Jarvis Christian, 83-47. And then they fall to DePaul, 76-64. And then as they closed out non-conference play on the road, taking on Illinois, 69-57, as they wrapped up non-conference play on December the 20th. Then to start conference play, taking on Prairie View. On Thursday night, the Jaguars got the victory 60-48. As I said before, shot 21 of 51 for 41% around the field. 3 of 11 from the three-point line, shooting 27%, and 15 of 35 from the free throw line, shooting 42%. On the other side for Sandy Pugh and Prairie View, 14 of 45, shooting 31% around the field. 2 of 10 from the three-point line, shooting 20%, and 18 of 25 from the free throw line, shooting 72%. Southern University women's basketball out-rebound Prairie View. Southern University getting 40 rebounds, 20 offensively, 20 defensively. On the other side for Prairie View women's basketball, 29 rebounds, 11 offensively, 18 defensively. Southern with 15 steals in this ball game, 2 blocks, 23 turnovers. And this went 34 points in the paint. And their largest lead in this ball game was 5 points, 11 points off a fast break. So it's going to be an interesting matchup with Texas Southern today. Let's look at Texas Southern women's basketball team, who ultimately got the victory against Grambling on Thursday night, which we are considering that an upset. Grambling preseason number 1 on the women's side. In this one, Texas Southern's defense was able to hold Grambling women's basketball to shoot 26 of 76 from 34% around the field. Grambling women's basketball shot 3 of 16 from the three-point line for 18%, and they shot 19 of 27 from the free throw line for 70%. On the other side for Texas Southern women's basketball, shooting 27 of 68 for 39%, 6 of 21 from the three-point line, shooting 28%, and 25 of 37 from the free throw line, shooting 67%. Texas Southern women's basketball out-rebound Grambling by 3. 53 rebounds for Texas Southern women's basketball, 22 offensively, 31 defensively. On the other side for Grambling, 50 rebounds, 24 offensively, 26 defensively. Grambling's women's basketball team, 9 assists, 12 steals, 4 blocks, 18 turnovers in this one. On the other side for Texas Southern, 18 assists, 9 steals, 1 block, 22 total turnovers, 19 points in fast break, 38 points in the paint. For Grambling, it was 42 points in the paint and 13 points off of fast breaks. The largest lead in this ball game for Texas Southern women's basketball, 21 points in this one for them. And so they were able to get the victory. Let's take a look at Texas Southern and what they've looked at in non-conference. They lost to Stephen F. Austin, North Texas. They lost to Oklahoma State. They lost in overtime by 1 point to East Texas A&M. They got a victory against Biblical Studies, 119-27. All right. They lost to Baylor 101 to 29. Wow. Lost to UCF 93 to 87, one of the closest game of the season for Texas Southern. Losing right there to in-town Rice 89 to 62. Lost to Texas A&M 85 to 60. They beat California Baptist. Oh no, they actually lost to them 72 to 58, and then they lost to Tarleton State 67 to 55. So I guess you could say this team is battle tested. They got that victory over Grambling, and they're looking to move forward to try to make this a tough one with Southern today. Southern and Texas Southern on the women's side should be an interesting matchup. Another game I think should be interesting today that I'm going to look at is going to be this Jackson State and Alcorn game. Looking at just both of these programs from last year, they met in the SWAC championship. Alcorn State was a team that, I guess if you want to say Cinderella, they went on a run late and found themselves in a SWAC championship game. And you look at them right now, hey, they're going to take on a rival in Jackson State. I like this matchup just because of what all transpired last year. Alcorn losing to North Texas, lost to Mississippi State, Alabama, Middle Tennessee State, Nichols, Houston. Some tough non-conference games for some of these teams. Lost to Louisiana Tech, UAB, and then they ended it out with a 93-41 non-conference loss to number 25, Ole Miss. Let's take a look at Jackson State because Jackson State, defending SWAC champs, of course, last year they went on to take on UConn in the NCAA tournament. We all know Coach Tamika Reed ultimately moved on to Charlotte, and now they're headed in a different direction under new leadership in Jackson State. So far in non-conference, they took on Clemson, losing 78-44. East Tennessee State, they beat 55-48. They fell short to Tennessee Tech, 84-56. Ole Miss got a victory against Jackson State, 76-44. Tulane, 77-34 over Jackson State. Jackson State also fell short to Morehead State, 87-57. You move on over, they lost to Arkansas State, 76-65. A tough one against Minnesota, 81-43. They beat Mercer 66-54, and then a tough loss in their last non-conference game on December the 29th. Jackson State women's basketball fell short to Missouri 90-51. Because they have that one game this weekend, it'll be against Alcorn. So Jackson State Alcorn tip off at 12 o'clock. That's the game I think to circle rematch to start the conference season of last year's SWAC championship game in the tournament.